Hello. I'm excited to be with you here today. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we're talking about eating slowly and mindfully. So, before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me. If you are joining me on a Facebook business page or on YouTube, you can come join us in the free group, which is called The Sweet Life. So if you go to Facebook and you search for the hashtag Live the Sweet Life, we are all about helping you to crush the sugar cravings, to find your energy and your ideal weight without counting calories, carbs, or macros. And we do this through the magic of blood sugar balance. It's really can be pretty life changing for a lot of people. So that's what we're focused on in the group. So feel free to come over and join us in the group and tell me if you are a fast eater. So some people are fast eaters, some people are slow eaters. And when I used to work in the corporate world and I had to travel a lot, I was on a plane a couple of times a week. So sometimes, would have longer flights. I didn't go all the way to the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I would often go to Chicago, sometimes to Minneapolis, other places. I'd have to go to Toronto a lot. And so I had a flight long enough flight, and this was back in the days when they would feed you on the plane, which I don't think they really do anymore. So I would travel with one of my people from work. We were on the same team. So we'd have to go on these trips together and we'd be sitting together. And she would always make fun of me because they would serve the food and they would go and serve everyone else. And then they would start by the time they were done serving the whole plane, and they would go back to the beginning and start cleaning up everything. Hello, thanks for joining me. They would go back to the beginning of the plane and start cleaning up everything, and then everyone would be done by then. So by the time they went through and they served everyone and they came back to the beginning, everyone fun adventures, they'd already be done, and I would still be eating. And she would always make fun of me because she would say, "You're the only person I know that when they come around to clean up the plane, like, you're still eating." So some people are fast eaters and some people are slow eaters. So, what kind of an eater are you? Are you a fast eater or a slow eater? Because it really has a big impact. So, when you are eating too fast, it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to recognize that you are full. So, if you are inhaling your food, your brain may not be recognizing that you're eating or that you've finished eating. So, if you've ever finished a whole meal and then you're like, well, that wasn't enough food. I'm still hungry. I need more. It could be because you just ate too fast and your brain has not recognized that you're full. Also, another thing that happens is that if you're eating so fast that you're not really tasting your food, you're not feeling satisfied. So you might have this delicious, wonderful meal that you're having, and then you're not really tasting it. You're not really absorbing it. So your brain wants to taste it some more. So you wanna eat more. So it really can lead to just not feeling satisfied, to eating more than you really need to. I mean, you should eat until you feel full, but your brain may not be registering that you're full. And it also can be impacting your digestion as well. So when you are inhaling, a lot of times people aren't chewing enough. That's a big thing because your digestion starts with chewing. So if you are just really inhaling it, that can make it harder for your stomach to be breaking everything down, because that's part of the process, is to begin to break the food down, not only with the enzymes, but also with the action of chewing to get it into, really smaller pieces. So it's really important to try to be able to slow down. So we're going to talk about how we do that today. So one time when I was at my job, they had somebody come in to do some stress relief. She did a kind of a session on mindfulness and stress reduction, which was great. So it was like an afternoon that we did this particular exercise. Our whole team did it. One of the exercises she had us do was the orange juice exercise, and I really highly recommend this. It's a little bit easier to do if you're sitting down with a bunch of people and you have to do it, but you can certainly do this on your own as well. So here is how you do the orange juice exercise. So you want to take just a little bit of orange juice. You don't even need a lot, like maybe an ounce or two. You just really need a couple of sips. And then you're going to make sure that you have about 10 minutes of time, and you wanna have it during a time when you can minimize all of the other distractions. Sit down with your orange juice, and you really want to use as many senses as possible with the orange juice. First, you're just gonna look at the orange juice. Look at the color, how orange it is, or do you see any swirls in the orange juice, etcetera? Then you're going to smell the orange juice, all of that. Then, obviously, you're going to taste the orange juice, and you're gonna taste it really slowly. And you're going to take a sip, just like as if you were, like, wine tasting, only you really gonna just drink it. You're gonna take a sip of it, and you're gonna let it be on your tongue and in your mouth, and it was such a powerful experience that you could sort of almost feel what the orange juice was like down to the ends of your hair. It was so visceral and powerful. You could really taste it. And so much so that I can still recall that exercise today of what that orange juice was like. So I'm not saying that we're going to do that with every meal, but that's a great exercise to try to really kind of get a sense of how powerful mindful eating can be. So let's talk about how you can eat mindful in your everyday life. So first of all, I would just start with one meal a day. Just pick one meal a day where you're going to start eating mindfully because life is busy and maybe you don't have time to sit and eat mindfully for every meal. But here are some tips that you can use to do this. So number one is always sit down when you're eating. So do not eat standing up because that's sometimes how we end up eating too fast as well or eating mindlessly. If you can, try to at least have once a week a meal where you're turning off the TV, turning off the radio, you're sitting down, you have your food, you have your utensils, and then you take a bite and you put down the utensil, you put down the food, you fully chew it, fully swallow it, wait a second, and then take another bite. I'm not saying every single meal you're gonna do this because I know life is busy, but just try it once. Try it once a week, try it once, and see how that experience is for you. But here are some practical tips that you can use on every single meal. So break up the food on your plate. So let's say you get a certain amount of food on your plate. Maybe you want to cut it in half and separate it, and then also set a timer for your meals. So see just how long it takes you to eat a regular meal. So your regular dinner, how long does it take you to eat your regular dinner? Maybe it's only 10 minutes. You want to set a timer for longer, maybe 20 minutes, double that time, and you wanna see if you can kinda stretch that out. So cut your food in half, eat the first half in the first 10 minutes, and the second half in the second 10 minutes. Take a sip of water after each bite as well. That's another, thing you can do to kind of slow things down. Try to really experience the food and see if you can explain what it tastes like, the texture, as if you had to explain it to somebody who's never tasted it before, or as if you had to explain it to, say, an alien or something. So be able to really experience the food and be able to really describe it. When we have to describe something, that makes us slow down and it brings us into the experience, into that particular experience, the experience of eating the food. So that is another way to do that. Also, you want to change your environment. So if you're always sitting down and the table looks the same way, maybe you put something different on the table or you're changing the table in some way. Because sometimes if the environment changes, that will help us to be more aware and we will begin to slow down. So some of these sabotaging thoughts, this is from Dr. Judith Beck, who has a great book with a lot of great tips on it. But some of the sabotaging thoughts that people have around eating mindfully or eating slowly, because there are a lot of things that we know we need to do, but then we have these sabotaging thoughts about them that prevent us from doing these things. Hey, Gail, good morning. So, some of the sabotaging thoughts that we can have about this is I don't have the time. I don't have the time to eat healthy. I don't have the I mean to eat slowly. I don't have the time to do this. Okay, well, here's the response. If you had a life-changing, a life-threatening disease and you had a treatment that would save your life, you would figure out how to have time 3 times a day to utilize this life-saving treatment, right? Yes, you would. So the same is true with eating slowly and eating mindfully. Now, maybe you just start with 1 meal a day. You don't necessarily start with 3 meals a day, but you do have the time. So that's the first sabotaging thought is I don't have the time. The second sabotaging thought is I have to get back to my kids, my this, my that. It's inconveniencing people if I eat slow. Maybe you're with a other people who are fast eaters and you feel like, well, everyone else is eating really fast or my kids need me. This is similar to not having enough time. So you need to take care of you. So the first rule in caregiving is hello. The first rule in caregiving is that your needs are as important as the person you're caring for. So you need to make sure that you are getting your needs in first because you will be better able to care for others. Same old, we've heard it before, put your own oxygen mask on. That really is true. I know it's used a lot, but it really is true. So by feeding yourself first, you are taking care of that person, and that person can wait if you're worried about them being inconvenienced. And then the last sabotaging thought here is, I'm just a fast eater. There's nothing I can do. I can't help it. So we are all changing all of the time. And so you can choose to change this about yourself. So you can, you know, be aware of this. So set it on your calendar. If you are, choose a meal this week where you are going to eat more mindful. So figure out what meal it is, set some kind of a timer on your phone or write it down in your calendar and at least start with that one meal of eating slowly. You can go back to this video and go back to look at these things. But this will help you to digest better. This will help you to feel more full with what you are eating. This will help you to, if you are eating something special, a treat or whatever it is, to eat that food and feel really satisfied with the amount that you are eating, or just to really enjoy what it is that you are eating. So it just adds enjoyment and richness to life as well. And it does also help your blood sugar balance. So by eating more slowly. You also wanna make sure that you're I think I missed this point earlier on. You also wanna make sure that you're really chewing enough. A lot of times people are not chewing enough because that is where digestion starts. Not only from just breaking the food down into like a mush, like almost like a liquefied mush, but also the enzymes that are in our mouth, are really important as well. So really set a goal for, I know it sounds weird, but for how many times you're chewing something. So maybe you chew something 10 times or notice how much you're chewing now, and you may want to increase it. This really can impact digestion as well, which is kind of surprising, but that's part of the whole mindful eating. So tell me later on when you choose whatever meal you're going to be eating mindful. Let me know how it went. And are you a fast eater or a slow eater? And how will you incorporate mindful eating this week? All right, I will be seeing you around in the group. Have a good day.